Good morning, everyone. Please be seated. My name is Eleanor Shaw, and it is my privilege to preside over today's ceremony. Ladies, gentlemen, friends, family, mums, dads, carers, and of course, graduands. On behalf of all my colleagues here at the University of Strathclyde, we warmly welcome you to the beautiful Barnley Hall and to this celebration of achievement. It's wonderful to have guests from across Scotland, the UK, and around the world come together in celebration of such a significant moment. Graduation is the highlight of the university's calendar. It's the culmination of our students' time here, and it's an opportunity for us to recognise and celebrate achievement, hard work, and hope for the future. In a moment, we will start our graduation ceremony, during which we will invite our now graduands, to soon become graduates, to come onto stage, to receive their degree, and to be capped by me. This capping ceremony is a centuries-old tradition. It is a public rite of passage, and it is a mark of achievement. It is also a demonstration that you are now a fully fledged Strathclyder. To everyone in the audience, remember, this is a day of celebration. When your daughter, son, sister, brother, or friend walks across the stage, show how happy and proud you are of them. Clap, whistle, holler if you want to. You are very welcome to. After the ceremony, please join us for refreshments in our Teaching and Learning building. So, without further ado, I formally announce this ceremony open. I invite you all to sit back, relax, and enjoy today's graduation ceremony. I now invite Professor Chernjit Man to present our honorary graduate.
Associate Principal, I have the honour to present to you Nozize Madlala Routledge. Her life's work stands as a powerful example of how principled leadership can transform not only political systems, but the everyday realities of people's lives. From her early years as a youth activist under apartheid to her later roles in government and global advocacy, her life has consistently centred equality, dignity, and social justice. Born in KwaZulu-Natal in 1952, she came of age during one of the most repressive periods in South Africa's history. Apartheid was a system of racial segregation that showed violence not just to people, but to the basic principles of humanity and freedom. Inspired by the ideas of Steve Biko and the leadership of Nelson Mandela, she became politically active while still young. She was also inspired by ordinary women who organized in the trade unions, in rural struggles for land, and through the global women's movement, joining a generation determined to challenge injustice rather than accept it. Her activism brought serious consequences. She was imprisoned for her involvement in anti-apartheid activities, including a year in solitary confinement without trial. Madlala Routledge was part of the negotiations that dismantled apartheid and laid the foundation for a democratic state. Working alongside key figures, she contributed to the development of a constitutional framework rooted in dignity, equality, and human rights. Her later career in government brought this vision into practice. She served as Deputy Minister of Defence from 1999 to 2004, an extraordinary role for a committed Quaker pacifist and unique in global politics. Rather than seeing defence purely in military terms, she worked to reframe it around peace-building, cooperation, and the social conditions necessary for lasting stability. This perspective challenged traditional assumptions that helped shift thinking about security in a newly democratic context. As Deputy Minister of Health from 2004 to 2007, her leadership during the HIV and AIDS crisis became one of the most compelling examples of her integrity. At a time when millions were affected, she challenged the government's position, which denied the real scale and impact of the virus. She challenged the social stigma around AIDS through compassionate action. She visited patients, including a widely noted unannounced visit where she witnessed the poor conditions affecting mothers and children. By speaking publicly about what she experienced, she drew attention to urgent systemic failures and insisted on accountability. She also publicly took an HIV test, challenging stigma and encouraging a culture of collective responsibility. After leaving ministerial office, her commitment to justice continued through civil society and international work. She co-founded Embrace Dignity, an organization focused on women's rights and the fight against exploitation, and remained active in broader social movements, calling for ethical leadership and democratic accountability. She also served as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly and later took her work to the global stage as Director of the Quaker United Nations Office in Geneva. Nozizwe Madlala Routledge has delivered action informed by justice and compassion and has never flinched from speaking truth to power. In preparing for today, I asked young South Africans about the impact of Madlala Routledge's work and life on their generation. Their voice was united, her integrity and care in the face of the HIV's crisis. A position that put her at odds with the government helped to save potentially millions of lives. The scale of that impact, those people who were able to survive and not be the victims of ignorance, denial, or complacency, cannot be underestimated. In their words, she is a hero. Glasgow is a city that stood in solidarity with the anti-apartheid movement. Glasgow City Council renamed one of our city streets to Nelson Mandela Place in 1986. Graduands, this is part of your story too. Students at the University of Glasgow successfully nominated Nelson Mandela for an honorary degree that was awarded in 1985 when he was still in prison and labelled as a terrorist. Our solidarity has not waned. Madlala Routledge's work reminds us that change is built not only through positions of power, but through the courage and willingness to act, to speak, to stand firm in the pursuit of justice, especially when it matters most. It is our honour to recognise your life's work to build peace in our world. It is with great pleasure, therefore, Associate Principal, that with the authority of Senate, I ask you to confer upon Nozizwe Madlala Routledge the degree of Doctor of University, honoris causa.
I am delighted to create you Doctor of the University honoris causa. Welcome to Strathclyde family.
Vice-Chancellor, distinguished faculty, fellow graduates, families, guests, and friends. Professor Chanjet Man, thank you for your deeply moving oratory and for the generosity and grace with which you have introduced me at this gathering. I'm deeply grateful to the University of Strathclyde for this honorary doctorate. I accept it with humility and with gratitude to my family, friends, and the many communities whose courage has shaped my life. I'm especially moved to receive this honor from a university known as a place of useful learning, an institution whose degrees are not only symbols of academic achievement, but instruments of practical knowledge, public purpose, and positive change. Strathclyde's distinction is reflected in its Queen's Anniversary Prizes for higher and further education in 2019 and 2021, its recognition as Times Higher Education University of the Year in 2012 and 2019, and its honor as Scottish University of the Year in 2020 by the Times and the Sunday Times. These awards affirm a university whose teaching, research, and partnerships serve society and prepare graduates to make meaningful difference in the world. I want to congratulate the graduates. Today is your day. As Professor Chenjit Mann has said, our graduating students are our future. Your degree carries your effort and the love and sacrifice of families, friends, sponsors, university staff, and professors. It also carries Strathclyde's promise that learning must be useful to society, to justice, to innovation, and to the making of a better world. May you never forget that achievement is never solitary. It is always held by many hands. I also pay tribute to the people of Glasgow, whose solidarity with South Africa's struggle for freedom will never be forgotten. Long before apartheid fell, this city chose moral courage. Glasgow was the first city in the world to confer the freedom of the city on Nelson Mandela, while he was still imprisoned, and later renamed the street of the South African consulate as Nelson Mandela Place. Those acts were more than symbolic. They told prisoners, exiles, and oppressed people that we are not alone. They remind us that solidarity can travel across oceans, enter prisons, disturb injustice, and help bend history towards freedom. My mother was an educator. She believed, as this university believes, that education is a tool of liberation. But liberation from what? From ignorance, from fear, from the smallness of believing that our lives belong only to ourselves. Education teaches us to see more clearly, act more bravely, and serve more generously. As you begin your careers or continue your studies, I offer you words from Howard Thurman that guided me. And he said, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." But coming alive must never mean living only for ourselves. What is the use of being fully alive if we are untouched by suffering around us? The value most needed in our time is empathy. Empathy is not a soft virtue. It is a courageous one. The power to feel the wound of another, and then to act. It is the first step towards human solidarity, the bridge beyond fear, indifference, and the narrow borders of self. This is the wisdom of Ubuntu. Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. A person is a person through other people. Ubuntu teaches that my humanity is held in yours, that none of us rises alone, and that the measure of success is how many we are willing to carry with us. In our time, this truth demands an urgent response to the movement of people across the world, families driven from home by poverty, conflict, climate change, and inequality, and to the xenophobia that too often turns suffering into suspicion. So I ask you, graduates, what kind of world will you help us build? Imagine boldly a world where borders do not become walls around compassion, where the stranger is met not with fear, but recognition, where nations do not compete in cruelty, but cooperate in care. Imagine a world built in the spirit of Ubuntu, solidarity, shared responsibility, and generous human cooperation. Then help make that world possible. My own journey began in high school when teachers urged us to open our eyes to injustice. My teachers were a great part of raising my awareness to the injustices of the time. It was my teachers who encouraged me to apply to medical school, and my first meeting with a great Black consciousness student leader and mentor who influenced many of us deeply, Steve Biko, and the South African Students Organization, which taught me that liberation is not given to people. It is made by people who become active agents in their own freedom. One of my teachers, Miss Llewellyn, came from Wales. We called her Hlu for short. She sent an appeal for donations which funded my entry and year at medical school, and later to Fort Hare University. This is what human solidarity represents for me. When people who did not even know me were able to dig deep for my tertiary education. Another lesson for me is expect the best. I did not expect to become a Deputy Minister of Defense. I am a Quaker and a pacifist with no military background. But where does peace begin, if not in the courage to enter dialogue with those we may once have regarded as enemies? Later, as Deputy Minister of Health during the HIV pandemic, I learned that conscience sometimes asks a higher price. When people were being denied life-prolonging ARV medicines, I stood with the vulnerable. It brought me into conflict with power, but speaking truth to power helped change policy and save lives. That is what education and leadership must be for us, not for status, but service, not for comfort, but courage. Graduates, you inherit a world of great beauty and great danger. Will you wait for perfect certainty before you act, or will you begin where you are, with what you have, and with whom you can? Find what makes you come alive, but join it to justice. Let your learning become courage. Let your success become service. Let your empathy become solidarity. I end with the words of Audre Lorde, who said, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid." Thank you.
I now invite Dr. Catherine Eschel to introduce our students.
Associate Principal, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, for research in social policy, Penelope Charlotte Laycock. For research in social work, Francis Thomas Riley. For the degree of Master of Science in International Relations, Jean Madeleine Torrio Avila. In Public Policy, Isaiah Adomo Onwuma. In Criminology and Social Policy, Nasa Urai Al-Nakaira Buti Al-Shamsi. Amalna Joseph. Kirtanu Raju. Apurnu Thambi. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Politics and International Relations, Ilya Kozinov. In Humanities and Social Sciences, Ben Atkin. In Politics and International Relations, Mariam Al-Fajani. Emma Began. Derek Brown. Madeline Caroline Brown. Kyle Jordan Gillespie. Aaron John Gray. Kirsten June Heffron. Patrick James Hollywood. Max Fraser Bruce Hopkins. Joanne Kung. Ethan Zander Lee. Bingza Liu. Cameron McKelvey. Grant McKee. Michelle Morgan. Aileen Niamh Patterson. Eric Ramsey. Stanley Dewhurst Reeves. Chloe Ross. Lean Shura. Leanna Taylor. Alona Mamoni Young. In Politics and International Relations and Economics, Ruby Grace Benson. Alfie Thomas George Dibble. Harvey Frederick Zusman Kay. Rhea MacDonald. Lewis Michael Nixon. In Politics and International Relations and Economics with International Study, Robert Johnston. Thomas Henry Price. In Politics and International Relations and History, Callum Barkley. Decker Benson. Saad Mohammed Marous Mohammed Al Sayed. Molly McKinley. Lauren Tracy. In Politics and International Relations and History with International Study, Amy Kettles. In Politics and International Relations and Journalism, Media and Communications, Ewan Hutton. Santiago Luis Parra Whitehead. In Politics and International Relations and Law, Farheen Amjad. Lewis Timpson. In Politics and International Relations and Law with International Study, Ross McEwen. Jessica Ann Orr Ewing. In Politics and International Relations and Psychology with International Study, Tilly Elise McGregor. In Politics and International Relations and Social Policy, Caris Lyons. Amy Morton. In Politics and International Relations and Social Policy with International Study, Niamh Donnelly. Ellie Nicole Roy. Megan Cheyenne Young. In Politics and International Relations and Spanish with International Study, Benedict James Arjun Ould. Sarah Cartwright. Harry George Clark. Ailey Sharon Cowan. Amy Hamilton. In Politics and International Relations with English, Nitika Qatar. In Politics and International Relations with French with International Study, Eliza Megan Cargill. In Politics and International Relations with History, Lewis McKeechan. In Politics and International Relations with International Study, Nisa Jane Barr. Emma Louise Cameron. Nicole Maloney. Ava Margaret McRoberts. Amira Megahi. Fintan Smith. Frankie Paul Alexander Kearney Watson Brown. Kirsty Wright. In Politics and International Relations, with Journalism, Media and Communications, Lewis Robin Galloway. In Politics and International Relations with Law, Kanwal Begum. Anna Kazova. Eve Kate Sanderson. John Jason Wark Henderson. In Politics and International Relations with Social Policy, Elizabeth Rosemary Gorman. Maya Rose Helm. Eve Leanne Malcolm. Connor O'Hara. Finley Francis David Proven. Callum John Walker. Fraser David Walker. In Politics and International Relations with Social Policy with International Study, Fraser Jack Henderson. In Human Resource Management and Social Policy, Ross Pinkerton. In Social Policy and Economics, Miles John Devereux. In Social Policy and Education, Megan N. Hunter Dow. James Alistair Horwood. Molly Teresa McGrain. In Social Policy and English, Hannah Ellen Marion Francis. Robin Kennedy. In Social Policy and History, Kieran McKnight. In Social Policy and Human Resource Management, Sorcha Smith. In Social Policy and Journalism, Media and Communication, Mark McGregor. Ellis Spears. In Social Policy and Law, Ashley Bruce. Chantal Gemmel. In Social Policy and Politics and International Relations, Freya Louisa Driver. Erin McCluskey. Jack Mulgrew. Riley Murray. Hayley Ogden. Emma Ramona Rutherford. Aaron Walsh. In social policy and politics and international relations with international study, Pierce Stephen Duffy Best. Jack Laidlaw. In social policy and Spanish with international study, Chloe Dorothy Craig. Ashlyn Kirsten Gaynor. In education and social services, Gada Syed Abdulaziz Abdulaziz. Radhika Adhikari Subedi. Asma Ahmed. Shannon Brown. Sarah Jane Cameron. Callum J. Campbell. Ross Stewart Carey. Jill Chain. Beanish Chowdhury. Amy Grace Craig. Jennifer Dempster. Darren James Fleming. Natalia Gibert. Tracy Lessa Hendry. Fraser Horner. Eve Jackson. Kimberly Baya Kabasele. Elizabeth Kay. Emma Love. Leanne MacDonald. Jamie Lee Carroll Denise Welsh Joan Mackey. Hazel Catherine Wilson McPherson. Paige Matthews. Martin McCabe. Mark Frederick McCool. Katie McClung. Ashley McCormack. Morgan Helen Mary McDowell. Shay Kimberly McLeod. Steficia Masaric. Michaela Miller. Lewis Mooney. Naomi Catherine Marion Morris. Joanne Patterson. Tristan Neville Prescott. Nazra Saeed. Ayman Shahid. Mari Sinclair. Lindsay Tobin. Kelly Young. In social work, Robin Anderson. Alicia Shaber Arshad. Lauren Elizabeth Bailey. Beth Joy Barr. Cheryl Ann Bryceland. Leah Campbell. Maureen Elliott. Eva Fitzpatrick. Kira Flanagan. Louise Gallagher. Lauren Alana Guthrie. Niamh Hartley. Emma Higgins. Suzanne Hutchison. Muskan Iqbal. Ashley Laper. Ailey Livingston. Annabelle Julie McInnes. Lorraine Martin. Lindsay MacArthur. Laura McDade. Kirsty McGowan. Leanne McIntyre. Caitlin McCarran. Ailey McLagan. Paris Mooney. Jacqueline Mary Elizabeth Mulvey. Bria Faith Neat. Jessica Nichols. Divine Nsekala. Laura Penman. Jacqueline Richford. Christina Stirankova. Olivia Jean Stronach. Alec Watson. For the award of Postgraduate Diploma in Social Work, Suzanne Burns.
I wonder if you can see me. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, but most of all, our graduates, I warmly welcome you once again to this special ceremony and memorable day. A day that marks the culmination of a sustained period of demanding work and dedication for our new graduates. You have graduated in front of your family, friends, and peers. So I begin my address by congratulating our graduates of 2026 on their achievements. Well done. A rapturous, thunderous applause, I believe. Likewise, our dedicated staff have worked tirelessly to provide you with an exceptional education and student experience. And your achievement reflects their commitment. Let's thank them also. In a short while, you will be invited to join an academic procession when we leave the hall. This is a symbol that you are no longer a student, but now a full member of the academic community at Strathclyde. And you're now joining a family of more than 230,000 Strathclyders who are contributing globally to making our world a better place. Wherever you go, and whatever you do, I guarantee you will meet fellow Strathclyders on your journey. We often celebrate the names you already know, the famous alumni whose achievements are recorded in headlines or history books.
But the truth is, some of the most significant graduates of this university are the ones you may never have heard of. They are the people shaping lives and changing their chosen field. They may not be household names, but their influence is everywhere. They are the unseen architects of progress, and they embody what useful learning really means. And today, you join their number. It is Strathclyde's commitment to useful learning which informs our teaching, ensuring that our degree programmes equip our graduates with the skills they need to excel in careers that will create a safer, more prosperous and more sustainable world. It informs our research, ensuring we can have a meaningful impact, and it fuels our graduates, helping you to create jobs, grow economies, increase prosperity, transform communities, improve people's lives, and ultimately make the world a better place. We see this across all of our faculties. They bring it to life in remarkable ways. In the faculty we celebrate today, the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Strathclyde's belief in useful learning takes on a human form, addressing the way people live, learn, govern, and care for one another. It brings together disciplines including education, law, government and public policy, social work and social policy, psychological sciences and health, and the humanities. Together, they explore how societies function, how individuals flourish, and how we can make communities fairer, stronger, and more inclusive. Our staff and students work closely with schools, charities, public services, and policymakers to address issues such as social justice, equality, health, education, and human rights. Their work not only advances understanding, it directly improves lives, supports communities, and gives voice to those who are often unheard. The faculty's greatest strength lies in its people, in their curiosity, in their compassion, and in the commitment they bring to their work. In every lecture hall, in every partnership, and every graduate who goes on to serve others, the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences embodies the spirit of Strathclyde: knowledge with purpose, learning in action, and a deep belief in the difference and the power of people. For example, in our Department of Government and Public Policy, our students have benefited from prestigious internships and placements, including with the UK Cabinet Office, which is providing them with direct experience of government and policy making at the highest levels. This past academic year, 4 of our honour students represented countries in a climate change negotiation simulation at Chatham House in London, where they developed practical skills in negotiation, diplomacy, policy analysis, and consensus building. Research undertaken by the department following this year's Scottish Parliament election found that more than 1 in 10 voters under 25 used AI tools to help inform their vote. Now, this type of work shows how the department is helping Scotland understand how democracy is changing, especially for younger and first-time voters. The department's research and knowledge exchange continue to enrich the student experience. Our students are taught by staff working on major public challenges, including democratic participation, elections, public opinion, constitutional politics, energy policy, regional development, and governance. And through the Centre for Energy Policy and the European Policies Research Centre, the department maintains strong links with governments, public bodies, and international partners. In our Department of Social Work and Social Policy, Fiona McHardy and Kate Smith recently presented findings from the Scottish Health Equality Research Unit to over 200 delegates at the City of Edinburgh Council's Prevention Conference. Their work is addressing Scotland's implementation gap. They are exploring the challenges of translating prevention and inequality reduction ambitions into practice, and they are putting a particular focus on employment and housing. Lisa Garnham has completed a project with Big Noise, evaluating the programme's impact on children and young people across 6 Scottish communities. Her work has contributed to a wider evaluation led by Audit Scotland that has been presented to the Glasgow City for Population Health. Lisa also leads the Community Research Cafe programme, which connects community organisations, third sector groups and practitioners with university researchers for advice, mentoring and collaboration. The cafe is strengthening links between research, policy and communities, and it is ensuring that researchers are focused on things that matter, on local priorities and helping to find local solutions. Anna Giuleka and Catherine Timpson have established 2 new public scrutiny panels which focus on unpaid care and childcare. These panels will enable members of the public to help shape research priorities, scrutinise findings and contribute to discussions on reducing inequalities and ensuring that research is informed by diverse lived experiences. Finally, Laura Piagentini, alongside criminology colleagues and Royal Society of Edinburgh Fellows from across Scotland, have co-designed the Justice Leaders Network, established in 2025 to strengthen evidence-informed policy and enhance public understanding of Scotland's criminal and civil justice systems. Their network has already delivered 2 high-profile events on criminal justice and mental health and policing, and a further 6 are planned over the next 2 years. These few examples provide ample evidence of the real-world impact that captures the spirit of Strathclyde, and it is something we are being increasingly recognised for. We are the Times and Sunday Times Scottish University of the Year 2026, and we are the UK University of the Year runner-up. While we do not actively chase such awards, these recognitions demonstrate our approach to teaching, to research, to partnership working, and they demonstrate that we are making a difference, it's being noticed, and we're being recognised. Now, as graduates of this university, you have the opportunity to take what you have learned here and make your own mark on the world. During your time at Strathclyde, you've grown not just in knowledge, but in confidence, resilience, and perspective. You've learned how to solve problems, work with others, and persevere when things get tough. And just as importantly, you've not just been spending your time learning, you've been partying, you've been playing sport, you've been building friendships, you've building shared experiences, you've been building memories, and along the way, you have grown in more ways than you will ever recognise. Education is not just about learning something. It is much more about becoming someone. And to quote Einstein, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. As graduates of Strathclyde and the future leaders of our society, you now have a responsibility to use your talents to make a positive difference. Whatever path you take, business, science, education, the arts, or public service, remember, you have the power to effect change and to inspire others. And I commend to you 3 important behaviours which, if you commit to these, they will take you far in life. They will drive your success and they will feed your happiness. They are kindness, compassion, and empathy, a word we've already heard a lot about. While some have described empathy as a fundamental weakness of civilization, other global leaders think differently. I recently had the privilege to hear Sir Bob Geldof speak, and his view is that kindness, empathy, and compassion are contagious, and that the human spirit is driven by these, is nourished by these, and is made stronger and more resilient by these. I agree with that, and I'm sure all of you do too. He spoke of not standing on the shoulders of giants, but on the shoulders of acts of kindness. And remember, you have the opportunity every day to display even very small acts of kindness. To do so is to exhibit your humility and your compassion, your understanding and your empathy for others. As you enter into this next exciting stage, take with you not only the knowledge and skills you've gained, but also the spirit of Strathclyde: innovation, collaboration, inclusion, and empathy. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep making a positive difference, a positive impact on the world around you. As you move on, please do stay connected with us. You will always be part of this community. Your stories will inspire the next generation of Strathclyders. Finally, let me thank again our staff for their dedication and excellence, and the family and friends who have supported you every step of the way. Let's give them a round of applause again. Congratulations once again on this remarkable achievement. You have made us all very proud, and you will continue to do so in the years ahead. Go forward with confidence, with purpose, and with the knowledge that you are capable of great things.
I now declare this congregation closed and invite you. Are we having an academic procession? No, okay. We invite you to join us in the Learning and Teaching building, but the weather doesn't look as if it's great enough at the moment for us to have a procession, but we do very much look forward to seeing you there. Families and friends, please remain seated until the procession has left the hall, and then, as I've mentioned, please do join us for refreshments in the Learning and Teaching building. Please be upstanding.